welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Okay, welcome to Turn the Page podcast. It's Syosset Public Library's podcast. I am one of your librarian hosts, Stacy Mencher, and I am joined by, I was about to say with,
Jessica, community engagement from Syosset Public Library, and another librarian host today who has been on several of our podcasts, but maybe not in the way that you think. He he opens every episode with "It's time for Turn the Page." He's our voiceover. Please introduce yourself.
Voice.
In the world. No, never mind. This is Ralph. I'm the head of media over here at the Syosset Public Library.
And we are extremely excited to interview our guest today. So please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Don Saladino. I've been a fitness professional for 23 years in New York City, and I was born and raised in Cold Spring Harbor, New York. So I'm very familiar with Syosset, and used to swim against the high school and play baseball against them. So it's a lot of history here, and I'm really excited to be on. So thank you.
So wait a second. Technically, you're Syosset High School's rival.
Yeah, I mean,
that's cool. I'll forgive you. You're awesome, and that's fine. I don't think anyone's going to hold that against.
No
us.
One's going to hold. No, it's
No.
so long too. I mean, come on, I graduated high school in '95 at this point, so.
Awesome.
Not that listeners can see, but Jessica's background is of Falcon Winter Soldier. So that's how we came across you, or of how you train celebrity clients. You also train normal people, which is really cool.
I don't anymore, actually. I want to
really?
be very clear on that before we jump into this. My, I owned 2 gyms in New York City. One of them I owned for 15 years, and my and the leases ironically expired last year. So, I launched a successful digital business a few years back, and with the pandemic, just decided to put my eggs into that basket and kind of went with it. So now, I'm not taking on clients. I still work with a few, like I'm flying out to see Sebastian this weekend with my wife. We're going to hang out with him, have dinner, work out, and shoot some content and have some fun. But, I still am connected with them. I work with Annie Hathaway regularly. I work with Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds regularly, but we're doing all this stuff virtually. And, but as for taking on like actual clients right now, I just don't do it. I'm focused on digital, and I've been enjoying it.
That's really awesome. That brings me to my next question, because how has the pandemic changed everything for you? Because it changed
everything for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was a tough time for everyone. I mean, if someone's thriving in business because of the pandemic, you're worried about your kids being out of school. I mean, so there was always, some negative and maybe some positive for some people. It was, for me, it was an interesting time because I was actually transitioning, and I was already, thinking about, back in 2019, all right, what am I going to do with my club in 2020? It was doing okay. We were in the game for a while, but I had these other things going on that was really starting to, I don't want to say distract me from work, but take me away from doing what it was I was doing for the last, 15 years in brick and mortar facilities. So the pandemic was interesting because it almost kind of pushed me into making a decision, which was the right decision for me. And it allowed me to really put my head down at home without any distractions and to really focus on building a new business. And, it's what I had several businesses going before the pandemic, and that was fantastic. But there was a couple of things that I decided to jump into that ended up doing really well for us. And, I don't know if it would have done that well if we had these other distractions. So I think being at home and, having a desk to focus on and not dealing with an hour and a half commute each way every day, that takes a lot out of you, and not having to train, people one-on-one, that takes a lot out of you. I think that's what happens, especially with a lot of young business people in fitness, is they're getting pulled, or even just in life, they throw too many balls in the air and they get pulled in so many different directions that they can't actually sit there and they can't actually focus what it is their bread and butter is. So yeah, listen, I don't want to turn around and say, oh my God, it was the best thing that's ever happened to me, this pandemic. There was a lot of positives, but there was a lot of negatives. There was a lot of fear, having to deal with, my daughter was 13, going to be 14 soon, and my son's 12, going to be 13 soon. And we have a great relationship, but, I was concerned. I didn't like the Zoom calls. I didn't like the fact that we couldn't, go out and do things that we would just take for granted, like going to dinner or going to church or doing things that, were things that we did together as a family. Yeah, I think it was definitely some pros and some cons to it as well.
So, okay, how did all of this start? How did you begin training superheroes?
Yeah, it was interesting. So I became a coach back in 1999. I was playing collegiate baseball. I graduated from Sacred Heart University in 99. I became obsessed with fitness probably in 1995, 96. I mean, literally like just woke up one day and was like hit by the bug. And I think when, I realized my dreams were changing when I was leaving college. Coaching was something I just really loved and enjoyed. And I decided to go work at a big box gym. And I did that for a year and was very successful at it, and decided to break off and start my own one-on-one training business, which I did, and was very successful at that as well. And then was able to, raise money to open my first club in New York City down in Soho back in 2005. And it was revolved around golf and golf fitness. My brother was a professional golfer at the time. I was just a trainer and strength and conditioning coach. There's a bit of a difference there. And, we started working a lot on golfers, and my brother decided to get his amateur status back, come back into New York City and open this club with me. And we did that. And yeah, out of the gate, it was interesting because we were offering something in the city that no one ever had access to. These indoor golf hitting bays and a bar, but a gym, and we were doing 3D swing analysis and all this great stuff. And it was a very high end facility down in Soho. So as we're going into this golf, going down this golf avenue, 2007, 2008 hit with everything that went down with Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns, and we're looking at our Goldman Sachs isn't spending money on corporate events, which we were doing a lot of, and a lot of entertaining. My brother and I are looking at each other going, okay, like something's got to change here. And right around that time, I got introduced to Hugh Jackman, and he was like, all right, listen, I really want you to he was training with a friend of mine, and my friend ended up, his wife got pregnant with triplets, and they ended up moving, and he's like, listen, Hugh wants to work with you. Would you work with him? I'm like, sure, I'll work with him. So he was in my club already, and I started training him, and we hit it off. It was like, I think we trained together for 9 straight months, probably 6 days a week. I was doing everything from his nutrition to his supplementation, his training. I knew when he was sleeping, like we knew everything. And he went off, and I was preparing him for that first Wolverine. And it was right around the time I was having my daughter, Amelia. And what ended up happening was he gets a call to do this movie called Australia with Nicole Kidman. So technically, like, I trained him for Wolverine, but he went off to shoot Australia. So he literally got off the plane and shot this movie Australia, which I thought he looked tremendous in. And then he went to go shoot Wolverine. But that's when my superhero career kind of hit. I had the strength and conditioning background. I was raised in a catering hall. I knew how to deal with people. And I had this love for fitness. So now I was kind of able to meld all these worlds of business, fitness, working with golfers, which a lot of people roll their eyes. They're like, how does that fit into all this? Which is why I'm with Golf Channel now, et cetera. But then the floodgates open, and, I met Scarlett Johansson, I met Reynolds and Blake Lively, and Sebastian, and all these celebrities started coming to me, Emily Blunt, John Krasinski, Jake Gyllenhaal. I can go on and on. So over the next, between like 2009 and now, I became really known as a superhero coach, because I would, take these, actors who were getting ready for these roles, and sometimes have to do a complete transformation, and other times just sit there and just kind of say, all right, this is what we got to do. And it's easy. And, some of them, like, when Ryan Reynolds comes to me, I'm like, all right, you know what you're doing, just turn the key and let's go. And we kind of have our formula that works. I might get a call from someone like Dave Harbour, who's in Stranger Things, and he's like, I have to play Hellboy. And I'm like, all right, but you don't look like Hellboy. He's just like, or like one of my really good buddies, Drew Powell, who I'll see the next weekend in Cali. He's got this farm boy build on him, and love one of the nicest. I mean, if you haven't checked this actor out in Hollywood, Drew Powell, watch him, check him out. One of the nicest human beings you're ever going to meet. I consider him one of my closest buddies. And he comes into me one day and he's like, kind of looks like he's working on a farm, and he's, strong looking, but, not necessarily, going into an Abercrombie and Finch ad. We both agree on that, but he's not his build. And he goes, I have to do a transformation. And I laugh at him because everyone who comes into me is like, I'm like, what do you have to look like? They're like, Brad Pitt and Fight Club. Brad Pitt and Fight Club. I'm like, okay. I'm like, what else? Brad Pitt and Troy, or Ryan Reynolds and so and so. It's always the same thing. So giving Brad Pitt some credit. But Drew comes to me. I look at Drew. I go, just don't tell me Brad Pitt and Fight Club. And we just started hysterically laughing. And he goes, no, man, I got to come out of this lake. I'm playing Solomon Grundy, who's this, like, he explains to me the character. And that was really a lot of what I ended up doing. Was fun, these actors would come in, they tell me what they had to play, but we would sit down, like Liev Schreiber in the movie Chuck. We sat down and he pulls up like, oh no, I'm sorry. I'm confusing that. Liev Schreiber showed me Chuck Wepner and what Chuck looked like. And Liev was more ripped than Chuck, so we actually had to kind of take him in the reverse direction, which is most people don't think about. Or, Dave Harbour in Hellboy pulls up this like Russian shot putter who just looked massive, and he's like, "This is what I have to look like." So you start, you sit down with them, you hear their vision, you hear the character they have to play, you hear their attitude that they have to portray in these roles, and then in a way, you start becoming a little bit creative, and you start thinking to yourself, all right, what do I have to do with this body type? Do they have to eat super clean? Do we maybe have them eat their high protein during the day? Maybe they have some ice cream for dessert every night because we have to get their calories up, but we need to keep them a little softer. So it's not always where, they've got to take their shirt off or, look like Blake Lively in a bathing suit in the shallows. I was incredibly proud of Blake. I consider Blake's like, she's like a sister to me. And, she, has had 3 babies, and she admits when, her struggles with this stuff, but she's, working, and we always get her into a good spot, but, she did great work for that movie. So I think it's refreshing when a lot of these actors will admit that it's not always easy, which is why I love Blake so much. So, they're all dealing with very similar things that other moms or other parents are dealing with kids, and, just work and life. And, I think that's something that we tend to forget.
I love Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds both consistently make me laugh, as just in general, like just they seem like just the funniest pair.
They're great. They're just great human beings. I mean, they are funny people, but they're even better human beings. I mean, to see all the things that they do for people and they don't look for recognition on has been really inspiring for me. So.
No, I think that's really important what you said, though, because I saw like her, I guess, like testimony of that. Like, yeah, you can't just lose all the baby weight you gain sitting around, like eating ice cream and just like, just being whatever. You really got to like move and do that. And that was a concern for me when I had my son back in 2019. I was like, oh my God, like I know I'm going to gain weight. And like, despite what many people and books tell you, it's going to be more than the recommended 25 pounds, because that happened to me with my son. And I was just like, what am I going to do? And I have to say, for the pandemic, where I work out at Locomotion, New York, they were like, okay, like since everything's shutting down in March, which is around the time I had to go back from maternity leave, I was like, all right, they're like, yeah, we're going to go to Zoom and do like Zoom training and all digital. And I was like, I could do that. I'm home. My child's asleep. Let's do it. And
it works.
It does. It really
works.
Does. You
it works.
Put in the work, but it works.
Yeah, but I think that, I think the pandemic gave people a lot of confidence with in-home training, right? So I think at the time where you'd look at an individual who'd be at the gym 5-6 days a week, and it was like they were going or they weren't going. Now I think this allowed people to at this time to look at their schedules and say, you know what? I'm going to go back 2 to 3 days a week, but these other two days or 3 days are just really tough for me. And I could stay home and I could do, a class. I could do a group session. I could take, yoga with so-and-so or whatever it might be. And I think it really enabled people to build out a little bit of a home gym. Now everyone's got some equipment at their house, which has been fantastic, which I think everyone should at least have something. And, I think it relaxed everyone a little bit, and it's forcing them to get a little bit more consistent. Where in the past it was, oh God, I have to drive. And by the time I get to the locker room and drop my stuff off, it's 20, 30 minutes and I'm getting my workout and I'm going to lose another 20, 30 minutes coming home. And then I got to shower. It's like, all right, I got 30 minutes. I'm going to jump down on my Airdyne bike and rip for 30 minutes. And I'm just going to go up and take a shower. And I did something. And I think in time, people are going to end up getting in a lot better shape because of all these more convenient offerings and this trust that people now have with in-home training.
And it's better for parents, especially working parents, because finding that childcare is very difficult. And if you work all day and then you pick your children up from school and then there's definitely some parent guilt, I can say.
100%. And now you can turn around and maybe they want to come home and you're giving them some time to play video games for 30 minutes, because they've been at school all day and they need some time to themselves to relax or whatever it is. Maybe that's a great time for you to go hop on a bike, or maybe it's to take a 20-minute yoga or 30-minute yoga. It's become much more convenient. And I've seen it on my end, people getting a lot more consistent.
Oh, definitely.
And what a great time for you, being that Marvel now owns everything. Although you did mention Solomon Grundy, which is DC. I know my
comic. Don't test me on this stuff. Don't test me on it.
I know my comic stuff, so I'm like, oh, Solomon Grundy, DC villain. But now, superheroes rule the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's very inspiring. I think everyone's got that superhero in them, whatever it is, I think, and you see it. It doesn't have to be someone jumping out of a plane and flying, it's that school teacher, it's the librarian, it's the individual that's making a difference, that's impactful on someone else's life. So, I'm always kind of talking about finding your inner superhero, and it's even holding the door for someone or putting a smile on their face. In a way, you're becoming a superhero. To that individual, because none of us know how bad the day is of an individual that we're meeting on the street or that we're running into at a restaurant, or you don't know what's going on. And it's just sometimes just putting a smile on someone's face is really it's a very underrated thing.
It's very well said.
Like you mentioned before, so many people ask you for the Brad Pitt body, the Fight Club Brad Pitt, or the Troy body, or Butler. Do you think it's something that you think anybody can attain, or is it something that genetics plays a lot into it? Like, can anybody get that literally, or asking for it?
Asking for yourself.
No, listen, it's a very good question. I think it is attainable. I think someone can achieve it. I just think there's a lot more work that goes into it than people lead on to. And I've really lived in this performance physique world. Like, I've been on the cover of Muscle and Fitness. I've been on the cover of Men's Health. I'm shooting the cover of Muscle and Fitness again at the end of this month. So, I know what it takes to have to get into, that type of shape. A lot of the magazine shape that we see, these people aren't maintaining all year long. It's like, they're not doing it. It would be unhealthy. They wouldn't necessarily be able to perform overall. I know people who can get really lean. I know people who can hold a lot of muscle. I know people who can take their shirts off, and others would look at them and just say, wow, I want to look like that all year long. I get it. And yes, I think you can. I just think that people are all starting at different points. I think there is genetics, but I also believe that falling back on the excuse of genetics all the time and saying, well, I can't do it. I know 99% of those people aren't giving it a fair shake. Like, they don't want to, like, these are the same people that can't go a whole week without having a cheat meal or having, alcoholic beverages. Like, if you want to get to the point where you want to get down to that single digit body fat, and you are in double digit body fat, like, it takes a serious commitment. And is it just diet? No, it's not just diet. You have to really try and optimize your training. You have to try and optimize your sleep, your recovery. Supplementation adds a little bit to it. There's just so many things. There's so many variables out there. You could be on an amazing training program and then out of nowhere just wake up one day and just be like, what happened? Why do I feel so bad? You could have gotten into a fight with your spouse. You could have had a problem at work. Suddenly your dogs are keeping you up at night. Sleep quality diminishes. All these things can become stressful to your body, and it can completely put you into a tailspin. So it is something that I think I've been doing this really seriously for over 25 years, professionally for probably about 22, 23 years. And it's a constant equation that you're trying to figure out. How my body was responding at 35 is going to be a little bit different than it's responding now at 44. And I accept that. I'm not saying I'm getting into worse shape. I'm actually think I'm getting into better shape as I'm aging, but I have to play my hand a little bit differently. So I get what you're saying. I think, yes, genetically people are going to respond differently, but do I believe I can take any individual and get them into single digit body fat to the point where they take their shirt off and they get lean and they look a specific way? Yes, to an extent. I mean, I've been working with a woman who's, was 900 pounds. She was 872 pounds. Her name's Laura Summer. She's turned into a very good friend of mine. And we got in contact with each other through Sebastian, through social media. And fortunately, she just weighed in recently at about 360 pounds. So she's lost over 500 pounds. But there's things going on right now with her body that we need medical help for, right? So this is not just about doing abs and doing cardio and eating right. And that's, now we have to get doctors involved, and now there might have to be some surgeries, and there's things that I'm allowed to talk about. She's given me permission to talk about this stuff because it is inspiring, but it's not always as easy as let's just start a new workout plan and let's just get on our chicken, rice, and broccoli and train and do this workout and all good's going to happen. Like, it gets way more complex than that.
No, I think it's great that you address that, because a lot of people just go like, okay, this is going to be like, your little plan that we'll do, and that's it, and not factor in a lot of other stuff. Like, before I started at New York Sports Club, I started there, and they did one trainer took you through to kind of see where you're at.
Yeah, screening.
And be like, all right, we'll do that. And I was like, all right, this kind of works for me, kind of doesn't. And I ended up not going just because of commute and going back and forth, because around the same time I joined gyms, I also bought a house, and I was just like, too much.
It's a lot going on.
That was what fell through the wayside. But when you address the different concerns, either medical or even just having a bad day, mental health and how it could affect you and all that, a lot of people don't consider that.
Yeah, everyone thinks it's just this point A to point B, very cut and dry. Well, I'm working out. Why isn't it working? I mean, every month I host a challenge with hundreds and hundreds of people, and I'll have people who will come on and they will literally make these life-changing aesthetic changes, and other people will still make that. It just might take some time. It's not always this easy formula. I think out there with fitness and nutrition, I think the biggest misconception is that we just keep removing calories and you're going to lose weight. That's not how it works. If you're a mom, if you're a dad, and or whatever it is, and you're working all day and you're trying to work out and you're trying to make choices, but you're consuming 1,000 calories a day, there's nowhere really to go from there. You can't just remove and expect that you're going to lose more weight. You've already been in a deficit. You're already not consuming enough calories, and it's not working for a reason. And sometimes you got to take some different approaches. Sometimes, I've moved calories north. I've actually gotten people to where they get them eating more to where they lose weight. And, I've involved nutritionists in on this years ago, just for some validation and to keep people calm throughout the process. But it's pretty hard to believe that, an individual can actually increase calories and lose weight. And it's just, about picking up their metabolism and getting them more active and getting them digesting more and elevating their energy level. But I know someone comes to me and they're consuming 800 calories, and they want to lose weight. What am I going to move them to 600 calories? This is ridiculous. It's normally all right, well, how long have you been doing this? Oh, you've been doing this for what, 4 years already? Oh, wow. Okay, let me explain to you. There's a certain amount of calories you burn in a day, and that number is way more than you're consuming. So how can you think that just by removing more calories, now we're in an even more of a deficit, you're not going to lose any more weight? If anything, you're probably going to get run down and you're going to get sick. And once you start giving them that education, you're let's slowly start feeding the machine. Let's try and put on muscle. And it's funny. It's if you look at every woman that I've worked with in Hollywood, from Emily Blunt to Blake to Annie Hathaway to all these women, we train them to be strong. They don't have bodies that look like guys. They all have different physiques. Scarlett Johansson, they all have different physiques, but they understood the importance of feeding their bodies, right? Nutrition, not dieting, nutrition. They understand the importance of being strong, about putting on muscle. And that's why, they had some of the better physiques in Hollywood. They weren't afraid of getting big. I mean, most women out there, I tell them, I say, listen, trust me, go lift to get big. Like, try me. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, you're like, it's not going to happen. You'll probably end up achieving the body that you want. But those days of standing on the elliptical and just spinning your wheels for hours at a clip, it's like, then they wonder why, they're not seeing any results. It really just comes down to their approach and being misled.
Okay, so that actually brings me to a question that's coming up. Are
Sure.
you doing any work with Tatiana Maslany for She-Hulk?
No, I don't even know who that is, to be honest with you. I'm not. It's funny. I think when you're really close to everyone, it's even like the actors in Hollywood. Like they go and they play their roles, and then they go home and they're themselves, right? Like when you're working with these people, I'm not working with Sebastian and calling him Bucky. Or,
of course. No, that would be weird, right? No, Tatiana Maslany is the actress's name, but
Right.
she's amazing.
I'm sure.
And one of
She's
my
a
favorite actresses. She could literally play anybody, but I found out that she was cast in She-Hulk, and
That's cool.
it just sort of came up, and I was like, I wonder, because you're talking about building women's bodies differently, and clearly, she's fit in the things I've seen her in, but
Right.
But then again, what's his name? Mark Ruffalo does not go around looking like the Hulk. So,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like, wait a second, no, there's prosthetics for that. You don't.
Yeah, but you know what else also?
Different.
What's interesting also, most people don't think about it, is you can't, like, a lot of these actors can't go into a specific role. Like Sebastian, we got him really bulked up for the Winter Soldier and all these Captain America movies he was doing. But then when he's playing in another movie, he can't go into those roles being like this jacked. It's not as believable. And I'll see a lot of them at times have to make, all right, we got to try and put some size on. All right, we got to try and take some size off. And it's part of the job. So I think when the movie's over, it's like, all right, or sometimes we have to start training like a week or two as they're finishing filming a movie. We're like, all right, we got to start early. Like, we just don't have time. Like, we've got only 4 months to do this, and all the main shirtless scenes are already filmed, and let's just get a head start on this. So there are times where we start prepping for other movies while we're shooting or while we're finishing shooting other films.
Very cool.
Wow. Do you travel like all over the world for?
I don't anymore. No, I don't, and I won't. Fortunately, I built up a pretty good business, and I think what I will do sometimes is I'll fly with them. I'll get them set up, or here and there. But I don't go on set, and I'm not spending weeks on set. Like, I'm a dad, I'm a husband. Like, it's not what I love to do. And and the people that I work with, like, they're amazing people. They don't need hand holding every day. They don't need a coach standing there, over them, yelling at them. And that's not what we do. It's figuring out, what's the environment that you're in right now, figuring out where we're getting our food from, figuring out that training program. I love sometimes maybe hopping on a plane with them and shooting to a certain location for 3, 4, 5 days, and making sure they're set up, and all right, let me see, what do we have access to every day? This is the game plan, and allowing them to think and being like, all right, this is what you do in this situation, that situation, that situation. I'm going out to see Sebastian this weekend, and it's more, I mean, we're going to end up working out and probably hiking and doing some fun stuff, but it's just more from a personal level. Like, you spend 10 years with someone, and he's seen me in some good times and some bad times, or vice versa, and we've been there for each other. So I think you start developing a friendship with these people, and you try and be there for them at any point. I mean, they've all done so much for me, and you want to be able to give back.
That's a really good just way of putting everything. I think when you said before, when you said you don't go around calling him Bucky, and that, like that would be weird. He's a person. These are all
Yep.
people, and their job is acting, and it's got to be like a lot of pressure for people to see, like Chris Evans, for instance, and be like, oh, that's Captain America. Well, he's Chris Evans. He's
Right.
the guy in the cool
They're
sweater
people.
and Knives Out. but he's still Chris Evans.
Yeah.
And having somebody who is able to not only understand just the fitness that they need and, you know, the pressure it puts on your body to have to transform, but also to be just like a confident and a friend and to be like, you know them on that regular level, because they get enough of people being starstruck when they run into them.
Right. Yeah. No, it's I couldn't imagine. I mean, like I said, they're all amazing people, but having to be on like that every day is got to be something that's very challenging.
I can't even imagine that. Like,
sometimes you're at a dinner, right? I mean, you want to have a nice peaceful dinner with your husband or your wife or your kids, and maybe someone's not having a bad day. Maybe someone's not having a good day. I mean, it's always, you got to put yourself in their shoes. You never know what's going on in their life. Maybe their mom's sick, their dad's sick, something's going on, and they're rolling into a restaurant because they haven't seen their family in weeks, and someone's running up to them wanting to take a picture. It's like, you've got to. I understand. Well, that's part of the job. You're right, and they all do a really good job of it, but you still got to be sensitive to it, I think, as a human being.
Sometimes whenever I see somebody like in a restaurant or something like that, as much as the fanboy in me goes, oh, I'm gonna go see it, but I'm like, back to my thing, whatever, just leave it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's enough for me to see them. I saw them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, just give them their space. That's always been my outlook, but I'm also in a different situation.
Question. Something I was thinking about. I listen to a podcast, a Joe Rogan podcast, a lot, and he has like fitness people on there and MMA people. And he had a guy on one time, I can't remember his name exactly, but he's saying something where it's always at low reps versus high reps. What's better? What you're trying to get. Like he was saying, listen, if you do 3, 4, 5 repetitions and do it once or twice or something like that, that's enough. You get that little burn going and that's it. That's all you should do. You should make it, in other words, you should make it not something so difficult that you're like dreading it when you're going, that you're like, ugh, I don't want to do this. Just do your thing and then go. What would be your position on that? You think it depends what you're trying to do, or?
Well, yeah, I think there's something to be said about an 80% intensity. I think when someone's bodybuilding, I think you got to look at what you're training for. I think when you're training an athlete, a professional athlete, you want to see gains, but you also want to take a minimalistic approach. I think when you start getting to the point and your training begins to diminish what it is they're trying to do, I think that becomes kind of counterintuitive to, if you're working with a professional golfer and they're too tired, or their swing starts becoming affected because you're training them so hard, or they're just beating themselves up in the gym, then you're not doing a good job as a coach. You're not doing a good job with your program design, or even describing to that athlete how their intensity needs to be. If you're working for a bodybuilder getting ready for the Olympia, a little bit of a different approach. They're sitting there trying to tear down microscopic fibers in that muscle. They want to repair that muscle so it can grow to get bigger and stronger. What do I really want to be careful with someone training at that level? Their joint health, their recovery, making sure their training doesn't put them into a worse situation, making sure that they can get to that Olympia competition or that bodybuilding competition and, be able to perform. So I think the first thing that you really got to ask is, what are you training for? But there's a lot of value in that 80% approach. And I tell people consistency trumps intensity. For those of you out there that have been struggling to get started, come in, do some work. If there's 6 gears in the vehicle and you're running in 5, that's just fine. Like, I want you, if you have to downshift one day because you've slept 5 hours, that's just fine. Just get in, do the work, do the best you can. Don't be hard on yourself, and take it day by day. Don't sit there obsessing over, how much weight you're losing. And it's honestly, it's the worst thing in fitness, is that person who just sits there looking at the scale, every day, every week, and they're living and dying by a number, rather than how they feel, rather the confidence that they're building, rather than how excited they're. I had a woman the other day who was in our challenge group who was like, oh my God, I've been getting the workouts in. I've been more consistent than ever. I've been eating better than I've ever eaten. I feel like my body composition is changing. I'm hydrated. I'm happier. And then I jumped on the scale and I saw that the weight didn't move. And I'm like, well, that's on you. Like, don't like, what do you like? This is you need to change your way of thinking. If you're going to let one number dictate, your mood or your outcome, that could have been coming down to something hormonally that affects women a little bit differently than men every month. Like there's so many variables that people just aren't taking into consideration. Maybe you had a salty meal. Maybe you're retaining a little bit more water. Maybe your body composition is changing and maybe the weight just isn't dropping yet. That's fine. Maybe you put on a pound of muscle. Maybe you lost a pound of fat. Maybe that's all changing. So I just think that we are so dictated by the scale. And if you are someone who is, I am telling you 9 out of 10 times, you're never going to get to where you want to be in fitness. I've been doing this way too long. I've seen too many people. If you're not in there enjoying the process, if you're not figuring out a way to find some happiness and some joy out of it, I don't care if it's 10 minutes a day and you're sitting there and you're dictated by a number, it ain't going to happen. No way, never has, never will. Or if it might happen, and guess what? You're not going to keep it off for a period of time. It will bounce back. So again, it's just, guys, fitness and wellness is 100% mental. It's not 80% nutrition. It's not 20% training. Like I don't know who created that myth. It's 100% what's in your head, right? I got a friend of mine that eats okay. He's got an incredible physique. He's very healthy. He does things in moderation. He still has his wine. His body looks fantastic. He's where he wants to be. You know, I've got other people that are just so obsessed over this that they can't relax and they can't focus because they're just so thrown off by, you know, the fact that they're not where they want to be. And they have, in my opinion, that's a poor outlook on fitness. So I think it really comes down to fixing this first. We fix this first, everything else is going to follow.
Absolutely. If I could stand up and give you
like
right now, it's
Virtual
that
hugs.
GIF of
Virtual
all
hugs.
the people. Yes.
Virtual hugs. Give me a virtual hug.
No,
But it's so true. Go ahead, Stacy.
No, I was gonna say I have a friend. So like I've been lucky enough that like I've never like gained a ton of weight and was like really big or anything. I enjoyed fitness, like, you know, in high school and like I go to the gym on and off like throughout the years. Like, I mean, so I found you through Powerhouse. So I used to go there in high school. And then I was like, this is extremely intimidating because like all I would do would be like the elliptical and like maybe some weights with like my guy friends. But I'm like, I'm not a lifter. Like, I don't, no, thank you. So I stopped going. And then like in college, I went to the gym, but I've always been like, okay, like I'm pretty happy with my weight. I just want to be healthier. That was always my outlook. But I say this with love towards Weight Watchers. I have a friend that's like, let's do it together. I need to lose weight. And I'm just like, all right, I'll try it with you for like support. And I was like, I cannot do this. Like I'm eating wrong. I'm not happy with this. Like I wasn't doing it to lose weight. I did it more for support, but I was just like, and I see my friends spiraling down with that of like, the weight's not moving. I've plateaued. I'm doing all this. And I was like,
yeah.
I said to my friend, cause like it was Memorial Day, like a few years ago, we were hanging out and she's like, we were all on Weight Watchers together, like me and the 3 friends we were with. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do like laps in the pool. I'm going to do this. And she's like, oh, like, you're actually like really going to do this. I was like, well, yeah, I want my points for more food so I can have ice cream later. And I was like, that's not the way to go about this.
Yeah.
And I see my friend doing it and I'm just
like, it's a poor approach. It really is. I have no problem. Like start at the finish, set a plan. What's your goal? Mm-hmm. You want to do an initial weigh-in or initial body fat reading. That's great, but put it in your drawer now for the next 3 to 6 months and leave it alone. And just, you know, wake up today and say to yourself, you know, what do I have to do today to be great? You know, and I think it really comes down to like, we don't reflect enough with this stuff. Like, I think there's some importance about getting into bed or thinking, you know, at night about, look at all the great stuff I accomplished. There's things I want to do better, but look at all the great stuff I accomplished. Feeling accomplished after a day of, guys, you've been there. Like, you understand, like you have a great day of training, you're hydrated, you're eating, you know, a nice array of micro and macronutrients, and you're getting in, you know, salads and different types of greens and different types of proteins, and you just feel good. And you go to bed that night and you feel great. And then you wake up and you feel good and you're like, all right, I'm onto something here, right? But the problem is that one mistake, most people spiral out of control. And I think that's the biggest problem with New Year's resolutions. I talk about this all the time. You know, we start setting these expectations that are so out of control. And it's like, oh, I'm going to be perfect for the month of so-and-so, and I'm not going to booze, and I'm not going to do this, and I'm not going to do that. And then they get through it and they're like, oh my God, I feel great. And then they're just, it's like they just dive back into it and then the wheels fall off. And, there's nothing wrong. If someone turns around and they have dessert 365 days last year, and then suddenly next year you had it every other day, so you cut that number in half. That's a good thing. Most will say, well, that's still too much dessert. In my opinion, maybe, but you know what? You're moving in a better direction. This is actually a really important story. It'll be super quick. I had a woman who was a member of my club years ago. She was a model. She was pretty well known, and she comes into my office. She's freaking out. She's like, "Oh my God! I gotta talk to you." I was like, "Well, what's wrong?" She's like, I gotta, I'm drinking too much wine and I'm having too much dessert." I was like, "All right, well, what happened? Like, is your booker giving you a hard time? Are your measurements off?" "No, my measurements aren't off." I'm like, "How are your clothes fitting you?" "They're fitting me fine." "How's your energy level?" "My energy level is great." I said, "So what's the problem?" And she just kind of looked at me. I said, "What are you having every night?" She goes, "I'm having a glass of wine and I'm having like one taste of dessert." I'm like, "One taste of dessert, one glass of wine?" I was like, "You've done this for how long?" She's like, 3 weeks. And I go, "There's no body composition change?" She goes, "Actually, I feel like my body's looking better." She goes, I'm happy. My training's good. And it's like a little release for me. I was like, "Well, then stay with it until it's time not to." But we live in this society now where we just think that we can't do those sort of things and we can't enjoy it. And it's not that my point of giving you that story is not for everyone listening to this to go out and eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs every night for the next 30 days. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just trying to say that like society sets this perception of where we need to be. And there's a reality of maybe, like I said, minimalistic approach, what we can get away with. Might be, if it's going to enable you to be happy, to have a couple slices of pizza and some ice cream every week on a Saturday or a Friday, and your body's looking great, your training's great, your mood's great, then like, don't get rid of it. Like you've already hit, like you're not training. If you're not training for the cover of Muscle and Fitness, then you could probably not have to get rid of that, right? So I don't know. I just think our expectations, and most of us set ourselves up for failure with this sort of thing, and you don't need to approach it that way.
That all or nothing mentality. It's either got to be all the way to this extreme or that extreme. There's a nice little middle.
What I say, it's 100% up here.
Yeah.
It's 100% up here. There's nothing wrong with setting a game plan. Set the game plan. Just take a different approach. Like when someone comes to me, they're like, "I did the keto diet. I did intermittent fasting. I did no carb, and it worked." I'm like, "What do you mean it worked?" They're like, "Well, I lost 20 pounds." I'm like, "Did you gain it back?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Then it didn't work," and they just go blank. I'm like, "I'm sorry to break it to you, but if it worked, it would have stayed off." But that diet can work. I'm not saying those diets don't work or those approaches don't work. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that your approach wasn't right. And I know people who are on the ketogenic diet. I know people that do intermittent fasting. I know people who take those approaches that do a phenomenal job with it. And they're doing it for a reason and they understand nutrition and approaching it. I know other people who do it as a way of yo-yoing back from a poor weekend, and then I don't respect their approach. So again, it's 100% up here.
Excellent.
True.
This has been such an awesome conversation.
No, it's great because I feel like a lot of people just, you said society has these expectations, and it's like drilled into our heads from a young age of like this. And with all the things changing, like I could tell you, like my dad's been going to the gym for years, consistently does like, he'll do some cardio and then he's like, "Oh, I'm taking up boxing." And like maybe like every 6 months or so, he's like, "I'm going to go on like Atkins, I'm giving up bread." And I'm like, all right. Consistently does it throughout the years. I've seen it for my sister's wedding, my wedding. I'm just like, all right, Dad. And like, he still looks the same. His approach isn't working. And I was like, maybe try something new. Like, I think I told him, I was like, if you really want to like, check out some of the groups, because my husband's really into like nutrition and fitness as well. I mean, for him, he does like no sugar, no grains, and it works for him because he also has Crohn's. Like, if he goes off of it, like he's in pain.
Yeah, problem.
Like, it's horrible.
Problem. Yeah, no, I get it.
Like,
but he's figured it out. He probably
I
has some balance in his life also, which is
because my husband's like, "Why don't you try doing like no sugar, no grains?" And I was like, "I'll try it." Or no, it was we were trying carnivore. He's doing carnivore for a while, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll try it." And I was like, "This is not working."
Oh, I hate that diet. That's the one diet. That's the one diet out there. I'm like, I don't.
Is that carnivore or is that paleo?
No.
Carnivore is like only
Carnivore's meat
animal
only.
products, so like meat.
Yeah.
You could have
Okay.
Eggs,
I
dairy.
think dairy. I was just like, I'll try it, and I was like, literally all I'm eating is like beef jerky and cheese. Like this is not healthy.
I
for me.
don't get it. I don't get it long term. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I don't understand how we don't want to get a specific level of micronutrients in, and just having protein and fat. I also don't really get. Like I also understand that there is a level of importance to carbohydrates for most people. It is their natural energy source, and there are things like fiber, carbs. Like when someone's like, "I go no carbs," I'm like, "Well, why are you going no carbs? Why don't you just go no bad carbs?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, there's good carbs and bad carbs, and you have to start with that." But that's just a perfect example. There's just a lack of understanding. And the people want to name these diets. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, people go, "What do you think about so and so diet?" I don't even know. They're like, "Well, how do you eat?" I'm like, I eat. It's called healthy balanced meals. And they just kind of look at me. I'm like, "You haven't heard of this diet?" It's a mixture of like high quality protein, high quality slow burning carbohydrates, and I try and rotate my vegetable sources like daily. And it's called the high quality diet. And they're like shocked because everyone's got to name something and everyone's got to rebrand something because they have to sell something. But like, the Mediterranean diet, like it's a healthy diet. Like it's paleo. I'm not against paleo. Like it's fine. Like I think pending, most of us can have some more grains and some more fruits and that's fine. But like all these names are just, it's like insane. It's like too much.
Well, this has been really awesome.
One last question. So, because I do follow you on social media.
Yes.
So you post videos and photos about your project, The Barn. Can you talk to
Yes.
us about that?
Yeah, I'd love to actually. It's fun. They're actually putting a roof on it right now. So
awesome.
So when I decided to close Drive last year, I wanted to build, it was funny, over owning gyms in the city, you kind of start envisioning the things that you'd want to do differently, right? And one thing that I wanted to do was not have a landlord. And I wanted to have a place that, I can literally completely control everything going on in and build it exactly the way that I want to build it now. 15, 16 years ago, you build it differently than how you want to build it now. So yeah, it's a 2,000 square foot facility. It's multi-floors. We got 10-foot high basement ceilings. We got 23-foot high ground floor ceilings. We've got probably about a 90-foot track going out back for sleds. We have a 5-man outdoor sauna. We have a cold plunge. We've got these huge 12-foot doors that slide open, fully equipped. It'll have as much equipment as any performance facility, dumbbells up to 150 pounds. I mean, plate loaded hammer strength, cable, pulley systems, power racks, full cardio. It's going to have everything. It'll have a podcast area. It's going to be a place where I can host, camps. I can do obviously podcasts. I can do transformation challenges with specific challengers and, host some of my celebs who have to prep for movie roles and work out at and film out of. So it's really going to become my own little bit of a cave to where I can just kind of work and film content. And I'm so psyched about it. My wife and I have put a lot of work into it in the last year, and it's fun to see it kind of come to fruition these next few months.
Oh, that's awesome.
So if people want to find you on social media, where can they do so?
I love it. Just to keep it, you can go to, I'm on every handle, but you can go to Don Saladino, DonSaladino on Instagram or donsaladino.com, kind of explain. You go to donsaladino.com, it shows everything that I work on from a digital standpoint. You get on my newsletter. I give away free workouts, free content daily. My YouTube channel, Don Saladino, is great. I mean, all that stuff's for free. So it's been a fun give back. It's been a fun way to be able to, educate people more on a lot of the questions they might have, and hope to meet some new people on there.
Excellent.
I was like, your videos, at least on Instagram, because that's the one that I see the most of, I'm like, are great. I'm just like, ooh, this is interesting.
Thank you. We got some fun stuff. I just shot in Miami last week. I'll shoot in LA this week and spend a week on a month on the West Coast in July. So we're putting up a lot of fun content. So stay tuned. We got a lot of good stuff coming.
Don, this was really great.
Yeah,
thank
this was
you
really fun.
So much.
Yes, thank you. Like 5 million times, thank you. And this has been such a really good combo. Not that I like force my husband to do stuff, but I'm like, you should listen to this because he likes fitness stuff. So I'm like, do it. Support me.
Well, hi, husband. Hope you enjoy it. if he's listening, when he listens, hopefully. No, awesome. It was really a pleasure. I was excited that you guys reached out to me. I mean, like I said, I'm from this area, and any way to be able to leave my fingerprint in here, it's always a fun thing to do. So thanks a lot, everyone.
Take care, Don. Have a
Take care.
wonderful
Nice meeting
afternoon.
you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.